All right, hello everyone, it's Clint. I want to talk about quitting comics. Not that I'm quitting comics. I already recorded this once and I thought, is anybody going to see this and get upset and think, Clint, you're quitting comics? I'm not quitting comics. But I talked to some entrepreneurs. I work around a lot now. And it was interesting to hear most people from a business perspective talk about failing fast and when you should call it quits. And it doesn't mean you kill yourself. When do you move on to the next thing? And I think that that's interesting because when it comes to the world of comics, it's there's so much passion project involved in it that it's not. I don't know. It's not the same as a business, or is it? So I want to talk about that from my undisclosed location. Before I get into that, though, check that out. This is a test T-shirt for Dracula, obviously. It's slightly at an angle there. You can see the Eric Canetti cover portion I have on the top there. Pretty cool, but I'm actually not going to stick with this one because I can't screen print it. And this is like the special like full color printing process. And usually these end up peeling over time, and that's kind of frustrating. So I'm going to see how this one goes, but I think most people I asked actually said they just want the logo, single color, screen printed, should look nice. So yeah, check it out when the campaign launches. All right, so talking to an entrepreneur, and they were like, "Hey, you are doing comics. I'm doing a business, and it's a new thing, brand new product, brand new space I've never been in before." And what I've done is I've set a date, and I need proof of concept. I need to prove that I have a market, that I can reach that market and sell to customers by this date. Otherwise, I'm calling it quits, and I got to move on to the next thing. And I was thinking, that is crazy because in comics, you basically are committed to growing an audience for a long time, relatively speaking, before you are ever going to see a dime of profit. And it just hit me about how crazy this is as a business. It's not really a very smart business to start. If you want to make money in comics, there are just easier ways to make money if that's your leading factor. So it gets a little sticky. So we got two things now. Because this is entertainment, because it's comics, we're here making comics because we love comics, presumably. If you're doing it for the money, again, and that's the only reason, I don't know why. It's going to take you too long before you see a profit. And you're probably going to be too incentivized to cut too many corners so that you can make a profit sooner, faster, bigger, that it just isn't going to make a lot of sense as far as business goes. So let's say you love comics, you want to make comics. Now you have to factor a few things in. I'm going to go to one extreme end of the spectrum, and that is you love comics, you want to make comics, you've always wanted to, and you don't care who reads it, anyone reads it, you just need to make comics. That's fantastic. So what you're going to do is maybe spend some of your money or put your own hard effort into making a comic book, and when you're finished, you're going to make it, you're going to hope and pray that you can sell it and make some money on it, or cover your costs or whatever you're going to do. And that's great, but you're still going to be happy because you did this 100% out of the passion. That's fantastic. However, that is not a sustainable business model that is going to change the industry or like really make an effect on the industry. That's great though, and maybe your comic's so great that you do change the industry. That's fantastic. But let's say that it doesn't do well, or it does less than you thought it would do, okay? Then what do? Do you keep making the comic book series, hoping that it's going to change the industry? Well, you could. You certainly could. We all know Eric Larson's still making I have no idea if he's making any money, but he is still making Savage Dragon. So how much money do you need to raise? How much money do you need to spend? If now you're moving into the realm of business decision, and and at the same time you're trying to make a passion project survive, what is the balance? It's so difficult to think about. Now again, for me, I don't really I haven't thought about it all that much. I've thought I just want to make comics. I hope people read it, and I'm gonna give it a good try and hope that I can continue making comics, and not cause significant harm to my family in the process, and to my bank account in the process. That has become my goal. But it's funny because probably a year ago, 2 years ago, I kept talking about making a sustainable business model, making it so you could grow and become very profitable. I don't think that is going to work for everybody. And I think once I accepted the whole part-time status, it actually made comics more fun for me. And it just took a lot of pressure off. I could just focus on making awesome comics. So I don't know if the idea of failing fast really works. Probably not just in the medium of comics, but other places as well. Having said that, I think if I spent my own money, if I spent $10,000 or $15,000 making a book and I only made less than $1,000 back, so I didn't make any money. I lost money. Obviously, something you'd have to give up on that series at the least. You'd have to. If you, I don't know, but if your sales are shrinking over time, if sales are dropping, I know like everybody has the expectation that in crowdfunding you're going to keep growing, but let's say that you dip and you go up a little and you dip, and there's kind of just like movement like that. Is that a reason to quit if number 3 does worse than number 1? No, I don't think so at all, as long as there's still movement and things are working. Obviously one campaign's not going to tell you everything that you need to know. So my conclusion is that comics are this weird business that's partly a passion project, partly you got to make business sense out of it. If you're planning on becoming a publisher and really growing your readership, the problem is you're playing with too much money to just do it for fun 100%, unless you can draw it or unless you're independently wealthy, and it just costs you time or money that what are you going to do with it anyway. For most people, I think you have to make it make sense. But I don't think it's going to look the same to any other regular entrepreneur, which is why I think it's so difficult to get funding for comic book projects, like if you were going to get a venture capitalist investing in it, because it just doesn't make sense like most other businesses. And I guess that's just the nature of the beast. In conclusion, comics are awesome. I'm already committed to making Dracula because it's finished, so that's a great feeling. And I'm already committed to making Downcast 4 because it's already in process, being drawn, and I've got so many ideas for more comic books that I want to do. And to me, I'm like, I know we're just a weird bunch of people. We will see what the future brings. I'm just going to keep doing my strategy of making comics awesome and hoping that things will work out. Obviously, making the best decisions I can. Thanks so much. See you in the next video.